welcome to Prunership Diaries. Today we have with us Mukul Chowdhury, who is the founder of Yogi Ray, an initiative to bring at least an element of being a yogi in everyone's life. He underwent yoga teacher training designed by Sadhguru, founder of Isha Foundation, before starting Yogi Ray in 2016 to offer yogic tools for well being to one and all. Mukul's transformation from a software engineer to a full time aspiring yogi has inspired many thousands to pursue the timeless science of yoga. And I am so excited to talk to Mukul Chaudhary, who is a yogi in every true sense. Welcome, Mukul, to my show. And I hope to have an enlightening session with you today. So, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. Looking forward to interact with you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, and it's my pleasure to have you here today. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Sure.
So, my first question to you is so you have been a software engineer. So, what triggered you to move from being a software engineer to an aspiring yogi? When did this notion start in your mind? Were you missing anything in your life while being a software engineer?
Okay. So this is a long time back, almost almost 12 years before.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I was missing something being a software engineer, and I was doing this. I was actually working as a software engineer in Motorola, and
Mm-hmm.
this was way back in 2006 when I had finished my engineering. So after I had graduated from from an engineering college, so after that I joined Motorola and I was working as an software engineer in the
Mm-hmm.
digital signal processing domain. So I was very much like most people from Bangalore who once they finish their education, they get into the software industry. I guess there's the same with you as well.
Yes, totally.
So and that's how it is for most people in Bangalore. It's either medicine or engineering. So I got into engineering and then got into software after that because and that's how that's where most of the jobs were. So yes, so when I started working, I was doing quite well and in terms of work, etc. And I was actually first of all, I was actually given a role where for most people this is like a very this is a role which they actually look forward to because this is a role in a company where you can even get to explore the aspects of development, and you're not just in testing, and you are actually working on products which are cutting edge and which are futuristic and which are yet to be released. So it was a very nice role. So there was no problem with the work itself,
Mhm.
and we were doing quite well. And during this tenure, we also had the fortune to even file a patent. So things were going quite well. So in terms of work, there was no issues, but definitely I never felt that that this was something which was really something which was really fulfilling for me. So that's something probably probably I didn't know what I'm looking for, but definitely there was a sense of void and feeling that where is this going to lead to.
Yeah.
See, because there were so many questions in mind that okay, now I'm doing this particular job, and then what next? Because I saw that most of the people who are working, they're already started preparing for either a job change or or maybe a higher degree like MBA or something, because that's something which was the trend at that point of time, that once you finish your BE you get some experience, and after that you go for a MBA, and then after that you switch to something else. So
Yes.
I guess you know about
Yes, the usual
the
routine, yes.
yeah. So basically I was thinking, so okay, if this has to be done, then what next? And where how do I know that where should I stop? and how do I know that I've reached the zenith or whatever else. So it felt like as if it's like an uncharted path and with no clear ending in mind. So it felt like as if you were just being pushed to kind of do things the way things work or the way things normally happen, and which most people think it's the way to do. So without having much clarity as to what you want to do, or where till what as till till where you want to go, or
Mhm.
how far you want to go and when you want to stop, without having answers to any of these things, you just continue working and thinking that okay, next step will come, next step will come. So I knew that didn't have much clarity within me about these aspects,
Mhm.
and there was definitely a sense of void, and also there was a sense of disconnect because I also saw that the work which I was doing, I always felt that I don't know why it was for me like this, but I always felt that I wanted to see the impact of the work which I was doing directly,
Mhm.
and for example, I saw that this was missing in what I was doing, because I was writing some code or doing something which which probably goes into some embedded chip, and which is it's not something which is not important. I'm not saying it's not important, but just
Right.
that the feeling of satisfaction as to your work impacting someone, and
Mhm.
how you are making a difference, that's something which you find it difficult to emote with that. It's something which you'll feel that as if whether this is something I'm really making a difference or not,
Yes.
and how is my work making a difference. So that's something which is a little difficult to connect with.
Mm.
So that was something which was missing, because I always felt that we should do something which is really making a difference in people's lives.
Yes.
So these things were going on in my mind, that okay,
Mhm.
what should I be doing, and which I can create an impact.
Right.
And at that point of time, I also had this entrepreneurial bug within me.
Mhm. Mhm.
I always felt that people who are entrepreneurs, they are probably doing a great service, because not only are they working and doing something which is meaningful, but they're also enriching so many people's lives,
Right.
because they are because of the work which they're doing, because of the impact which they have created, it has touched so many people's lives.
Yes.
So at that point of time, somehow it was there within me about this entrepreneurial bug, about how they are making a difference, and I felt if something like this even I could do. So because of all these factors, I feel
Right.
it's possible that I was looking for something and though I was working and doing well,
Mhm.
and still I was still looking for something, and what I was looking for I didn't know, but there was definitely some seeking,
Right.
and that came in the form of yoga and Sadhguru in 2008, when
Right.
I first did the inner engineering program.
Mhm.
So that was what triggered this seeking more intensely, actually. And so after that, so many things happened. But yes, so if the question was like if I was missing something, yes, it was.
All right. Thank you for that. I mean, I can so totally resonate your journey. I think being a software engineer and then moving on to a job and, actually feeling that aspect where you don't know if your job is actually making a difference to the lives of many, because you wouldn't know what is the work that you're putting out there. Is it reaching someone, or what is it? I think the entire vision per se. So totally resonate with that. um, and I want to ask you further. So I think, as you mentioned, you started yoga in the year 2008, 2009. And you also did later quit your job, and you volunteered at the Isha Yoga Center. Could you tell us about this period in terms of, again, what was running through your mind, and were there any changes, that you perceived with yoga and volunteering? And I also want to know what were the reactions from your family and friends, because for a fact that you had quit a secure job, and you were pursuing something which probably is not, I don't know, realistically understood by people. Yeah. So yes, what were you feeling in your mind, and what were the reactions from your close relatives, families about it? Yeah.
So that was a quite a stormy phase, actually. I
Yes.
would say, because obviously, when you are moving away from something like this, which is a stable career,
Mm-hmm.
and stepping into uncharted territory,
Yes.
and especially when it comes to uncharted territory, and that too being yoga.
Right.
So that is definitely, it will not be a good response, from the outside atmosphere.
Yes.
So it was definitely, see what was running through my mind and how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
There are many stories which actually, there were many incidents, or there were many things which led to things one after the other, and which finally led me to quit my job,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not a very easy decision to make,
Yes.
irrespective of you seeking, and irrespective of you longing to get to something. It's never a easy decision to break something which has been running, and which you
Mm-hmm.
have been doing. So it definitely, I would say, when I look back right now, it was a combination of many factors and incidents and events which happened, which
Mm-hmm.
finally actually, led me to take the decision.
Right.
So funnily, when I look back and I see, it feels like as if these things were, just it just fell in place. For example, when I started this journey with Isha in 2008 with the
Mm-hmm.
inner engineering program, that was my first exposure with Isha. I just came across an article from Sadhguru which
Mm-hmm.
spoke about about inner engineering, and about how yoga can help in concentration and
Yes.
something related. So that was my first exposure to
Mm-hmm.
Sadhguru, where I read this article and it made a lot of sense.
Yes.
So, just like a curious engineer or anyone who's just looking to enhance
Yeah.
themselves, I felt that this is something which I needed, and I always felt that controlling the mind, or this is, if I could just do that and I could just focus on one thing
Right.
and not have thoughts running around in my mind, then that would be a great thing to have, and probably yoga can help with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I actually ended up signing up for that program, and that was, my first exposure with Isha, in terms of programs.
Mm-hmm.
So when I just did this program, I never had any inclination that I would ever have anything to do with yoga full time, or I would, even look at volunteering or leaving my job or anything like that.
Right.
I was actually never I've never been exposed much to yoga before, actually.
Mm-hmm.
When I started
Yes.
with this, my exposure to yoga was very limited, and the only exposure which I had to yoga was I had just done some basic asanas and pranayam, etc., with a
Mm-hmm.
yoga teacher near my home, near my house,
Okay.
and I was just going there for a few, maybe for a few months. I went there, and I saw the benefits, but I couldn't continue. I just stopped after a few months. I think I just got caught up with some work, and then
Right.
after I stopped going. So that was my only exposure.
Mm.
So there was no other exposure to yoga or gurus or anybody else. So I was just like any other normal engineer, just looking to see how to grow in the corporate ladder. And I don't have any volunteering. I didn't have any volunteering exposure also before
Right.
that. That I've been volunteering, or I have had this culture or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There was no such thing. So when I look back and I see, it was definitely a huge shift for me to even think about such a thing.
Right.
So this happened because of many factors. One factor is because once I did the inner engineering program with Isha, that itself was like a huge shift for me, and suddenly things which I never imagined which I'll be doing,
Mm-hmm.
those things started happening to me.
Yes.
So within a few months of me doing the program, I kind of broke through so many limitations within myself. Like I was struggling, like many software engineers, to bring some physical activity into my life. because it was just like sitting in front of the system from morning till night, and then back home, and then again the next day,
Yeah.
same stuff. So, and on Saturday Sundays you feel like, just relaxing and not doing anything else. So
True.
I was pretty much in the same boat, and I felt like I needed to do some physical activity, but it was like start and stop for me.
Mm.
I started with gymming and then stopped, and I started with
Right.
jogging some days and I stopped. So nothing was happening regularly,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking that, this is something which is not good for my health. Definitely,
Mm.
I should definitely start something for my well-being, but there was nothing happening regularly. So at that point of time, energy engineering happened, and to my utter surprise, after I finished the program, within a few days, I started jogging,
Mm.
and I started doing it regularly without a break. And within a few months, from someone who was struggling to even run for 100, 200 meters, I used to get tired even if I ran for about 100 meters or so.
Mm-hmm.
And within a few months, I was running almost 5 to 10 kilometers very easily.
Wow.
So I participated in a TCS 10K run in Bangalore, and I finished that 10K in about 55 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So this was, yeah, so this was just like a huge surprise for me, because from a person who was really physically laid back, I would say, especially during the time I was working in Motorola.
Mm.
Because before that, when I was in college, I was very physically active. I was
Right.
playing sports, etc. So
Right.
lack of physical activity was not a concern. But the moment I entered in the industry and I got into a job, then physical activity kind of disappeared. So for me, it was a big change that I could, do this. That within a few months, I was able to run. I had a slight paunch that disappeared, and
Okay.
I started getting up early in the morning, and my productivity at work increased drastically. So all these things which a normal software engineer looks forward to,
Mm-hmm.
that how they can enhance their life in terms of their productivity, their efficiency, their energy levels,
Right.
clarity. All these things started happening to me.
Mm.
So that's what encouraged me to to go for an advanced program, where it was not an advanced program. It was just it was just a talk by Sadhguru. It was called like a satsang or like a discourse with Sadhguru, just to spend some time with him.
Right.
So it was in the Isha Yoga Center in Coimbatore.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard about that program, and I felt that, okay, if he's the person behind all of this, and I got so much, from this
Yes.
program in just a few months' time. And one important thing, as I was saying, is never in my life I have done anything continuously for more than 20 days,
Right.
And for a change, after doing this program, I was doing this yoga non-stop for
Mm.
6 months without any break, not even a single day's break. And for the first 40 days, I was doing it twice a day. So
Yes.
this was like something which was completely new for me.
Mm.
And I said, if he's doing a program, I should go and attend.
Yeah.
So that's how I landed in this program, which was in the Isha Yoga Center.
Right.
And that was the place where I would say where the seeds were sown, because
Right.
that kind of that those 3 days which I spent with him in the Isha Yoga Center, that's where I really realized that somewhere I started getting answers to so many of those questions which were floating around in my mind.
Mm.
And I felt that, that it's possible to work towards that,
Yes.
and it is possible to come to a state where, these things get cleared within you, and you can realize the true purpose of what you're doing and why you're here or whatever else. So I felt that clarity can come if I just pursue this path. And that was when I took the first step when I was at the Isha Yoga Center,
Right.
because before ending the program, what Sadhguru mentioned was
Mm-hmm.
that do one thing today, that before you leave this program, I know that you'll be going back to your homes, etc., and you'll be doing your
Yeah.
jobs, etc., and you may get caught up with whatever you're doing, and still you may get back to your the way you were earlier,
Correct.
and no transformation may happen. So he was saying on the spiritual path, it's very important that if you want to take any step, if you want to move forward, you need to take action. So what he was saying is that today, what he said was that today, before you leave, just take one small step towards your spiritual growth. And he said that that's the only thing which I would request all of you do. That just take one small step. That before you leave this place, just break one limitation which you have, which you felt that something which you wanted to do and you couldn't do,
Yeah.
or something which you felt like doing from a long time and you felt that you were not, this was something which is not possible for you.
Right.
So something like that, just think of that and just break that one limitation. So I don't know what happened to me, but at that point of time, it just struck me that today I should take some action,
Yeah.
and that actually led me to just, it just occurred to me that that point of time that that when I had gone through this program with Isha, I just was, overwhelmed by the teacher, the way she was conducting herself, the way she was speaking, etc. And I felt if I could be like this,
Mm.
if I could become like this, where I could conduct myself so gracefully
Yes.
and I could speak like this, then it would be wonderful. So at that point of time, it just occurred to me that, I wish I could have been a teacher like this. But always, whenever I thought about this, I always felt, oh, this is definitely not possible for me.
All right.
This is about people who are, really seeking, or, the intense people and full timers or whatever, and I'm just a beginner.
Yeah.
But when he said that whatever you've been thinking, don't think whether it's possible or not, just take a step.
Mm.
So that's why it just happened that I just came outside and then I saw a counter which said, if you are interested in teachers training, fill an application form there.
Okay.
So I just came out and I said, okay, I know I'm not worthy of this, but I'll just come. I just stepped out and I just at the spur of the moment, because I just thought I'll take this action. Because all the time I thought, just these words which Sadhguru said, just take action, just take
Yeah.
one small step, one inner step. So I just came and I said, okay, I'm interested in the training. I'm interested in going through this training. They said, which one, full time or part time? I said part time.
All right.
And I just filled up the form and I just after that I came back to Bangalore.
All
So
right.
that one mistake which I made, and that was what actually led me to finally landing up there and leaving my job and going there full time.
All
Because
right.
initially I thought I'll do part time, and then I was thinking, because the way I was, I could never do anything partly. I was
Yes.
always fully focused on something,
Right.
and I was thinking whether it will make sense for me to do something full time. But still, I was only thinking. I was not taking any action.
Uh,
And then the next step happened. There again, I saw a video where Sadhguru was speaking about the Himalayan Yatra.
mhm.
This you'll relate to because you love the Himalayas, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I just saw the video, and something within me said that I have to go here.
Mm.
Something within me just moved when I just saw that video, and I said I have to
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
So again, without informing anyone, without taking any permission, I just signed up for that program.
Okay.
It was about 14 days with Isha,
Right.
going to the Himalayas. It
Mm-hmm.
was like going to Kedar, Badri, and
Yes.
all other places like this. So I just signed up for that because I just felt that something is drawing me, and I felt this could be the step two.
Right.
So the moment I signed up for it, I felt that now I have to go for this, and this is my second step.
Yeah.
Already I've taken the first step, and now probably this is the second step. Maybe some connection is there, and I that might give me some answers.
Right.
So that's how I took the second step. But I didn't know that second step will lead to many other steps. Because what happened after that was, to my surprise, because usually we had a very relaxed culture and there was no problem in getting leave,
Right.
etc. So I didn't ask anyone before signing up.
Mm-hmm.
But when I signed up and then afterwards, I thought anyway I'll inform my team. So I went and informed my boss that this is what I'm planning to go for. And to my utter surprise, he said, no, that's not possible
Oh.
because we have an urgent project which has come up
Uh-huh.
and we need all our team members. So no leave for the next few months. no
Uh-oh.
long trip for the next few months. And I was like kind of shocked, because I had never thought that I wouldn't be able to go
Get
for
this.
this,
Yeah.
because it was like it came as a shocker for me. And since I had taken one step already
Mm-hmm.
by doing by signing up for the teachers training,
Right.
within myself I felt this is the second step and I should not go back.
Mm.
I don't know why I felt this was the second step, but somehow I was like kind of you know uh, thrilled that I took the first step at least,
Yes.
much to my own surprise, because I never felt that I will take even one step.
Right.
I'll only talk about it, but I won't do anything. But I took the first step.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt that now I've taken the second step, I shouldn't go back on it. Somewhere within me, it was saying that this is the second step.
Mm.
And you just take these small steps and don't go back on it. So that something within me which said that this is the second step and you shouldn't go back on it.
Right.
And then I told my boss, no, no, I have to go. He said, no, no, it's okay. Whatever you spend, we'll reimburse. And after 2 months, if you want, you take a 3 month sabbatical,
Ah. Okay.
and then you can go wherever you want. You can go. You can spend even longer time. Why 2 weeks?
Uh-huh.
But somehow within me, I was not convinced. I was like, no, no, no. I felt this is the second step, and I should not go back on it. So he said, okay, it's your choice. You can take a call.
Right.
Because we won't be able to grant leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's how the question came whether I should quit or not.
Mm. All right.
So if it was not for all these things, I wouldn't have quit. That's why I'm saying this.
Yes.
That if it was not for all this background,
Yes.
all these background events which happened, I wouldn't have. But then I thought this was step two. So finally, I put in my papers and I said, no, no, I've decided I'll go now. If I want to come back after the yatra and then join,
Mm-hmm.
I'll get in touch with you. But I also felt that that will be. I felt that both these things were linked, because I felt if I go there
Right.
and now if I come back and if I don't have a job,
Yeah.
which because if I'm quitting and I'm going, then at least I can do this full time for some time.
Yeah.
So I can go into the ashram full time and then do the teachers training rather than doing part time. So
Right.
both these things were kind of linked. So I said, okay, fine, let me quit, go there.
Mm.
Once I come back, I'll go to the ashram, I'll do the teachers training full time,
Right.
and I'll see whether it works for me. If it works, I'll continue. If it doesn't work, then I'll come back and I'll look for a job, because anyway, I have 3 years experience and getting a job won't be that difficult.
Yes.
But at that point of time, I felt it is now or never.
Mm.
If I don't jump the ship right now,
Yeah.
I would be stuck with that cycle which is normally the case, which
Yes.
is looking for another job or higher degree, and then
Right.
family and this and that, and there's hardly any scope for experimentation after that, right?
Mm.
So I just felt somewhere within me, I felt that I have to take a decision,
Right.
and doesn't matter what the repercussions are. So obviously the repercussions were severe,
Yeah.
because of the way it happened like this,
Mm-hmm.
that suddenly I had to leave my job,
Right.
and then leaving my job because I have to go to the Himalayas. So it's a deadly combination, right?
Yeah.
So obviously people around were like, okay, looks like he's renowned in the world. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so all these things happened, and then parents obviously they got really concerned, and that what has happened suddenly. At this peak of his career, and suddenly he leaves, he's already quit his job without even asking us, and
Right.
he's saying he's going to the Himalayas, and then after that he's going to the center for some training. So it was like hard to comprehend, and the kind of resistance which I faced, the kind of emotional turmoil which happened at home, all kinds of situations happened, and it was very very difficult to navigate through all of that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
somehow I just stuck through it, and I said, anyway, I've taken a decision, and it's okay. I was just trying to convince them and saying that it's just a matter of few months. It's not a long term decision.
Right.
It's not something which I've renounced or done this or done that. It's just a few months. I'm just experimenting with something, because I don't know when I'll get this opportunity, so I'm just experimenting.
Yes.
So that's how I was trying to convince people around me
Mm-hmm.
that hey, that's it's not what you're thinking. It's just give me some time. I think I need to experiment, and I need to have that space to at least experiment with what I feel is important. So I was just trying to convince them like this, but obviously the situations were quite stormy, and I hope no one goes through these kind of situations, because it was very challenging to kind of navigate through them and still do that.
Yes.
But I'm really glad now when I look back and I see
Mm-hmm.
that I'm really glad I went through all those situations and I still did that. I would really be it would be really a big regret for me if I wouldn't have taken that step, and I would have just gone on. Maybe if it was not for these situations which had pushed me to take this extreme step, I would have actually continued working, and I would have done taken slow steps. Maybe I would have done few more programs and
Yeah.
volunteered and did this or did that. But when I just went there, I had not done any volunteering. I had not done any advanced programs except one, because they asked me, no, no, to come here you have to do this advanced program.
Ah. Right.
So even actually, and the center, they were kind of shocked when they heard that I had already quit my job and I was coming. They said, "No, you were planning for part time, right? So it's okay. You don't quit your job right now. You continue.
Right.
But
Right.
you're very new into this." I said, "No, no, I've already quit."
Right.
So it's okay. It's okay. I'll anyway continue with it. So they were also surprised. Everyone was surprised, but I was actually just going by instinct.
Yes.
I was just going by instinct, because sometimes you have an inner voice which says that something within you is guiding you and saying that, yeah, just take this step, don't know what will happen, but just take it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just I was going with that voice, and I was just trying to do that. So it
Right.
I think different people who have stepped on to some, even entrepreneurs who do something, I feel they also go through similar kind of
Yes.
stuff in the sense that they leave something which is comfortable, and they venture into unknown territory.
Right.
So, though here I was not doing anything entrepreneurial, but the kind of impact it created was very similar. So
Yes.
probably whatever was there in the back of my mind, these the things, it kind of worked,
Right.
and it created a situation so that I take action, because I was kind of always thinking that people are only talking about things. Oh, I don't like my
Yeah.
job. I feel like I should be doing something more significant. I should
Yes.
be doing something which I care for, but they don't take any action. So I didn't want to join that bandwagon where I'm just going on talking and not doing anything.
Right.
So that was something always there within me, that if there's something which you feel is much more valuable, then work towards it and do that,
Yes.
rather than wasting your life in just talking about it and thinking that there's something better and
Yes.
regretting it later.
Right.
So somehow, so many factors just led to me making this decision and making that jump. And I'm glad I at least jumped, because once it was a jump from the normals, from whatever I was doing. After that, it was a series of jumps. So I got used to jumping then. Got used to being in the unfamiliar territory and still thriving. So that
Right.
initial jump helped a lot, actually.
Yes, yes. I mean, quite a story out there, and I think I would like to say, I think the costly mistake which you mentioned, I'm sure it has turned out to be beautiful, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I look back right now, I would say I don't want to change even one thing, which happened.
Yes, yes,
Because when I was going through those situations earlier, I felt that why is it that I have to go through such difficult situations.
right.
But now when I look back and I see, I feel that I'm so lucky that somehow the situations were in such a way that I could take action,
Yes,
because I see so many people around me who are in similar situations,
right.
but they are unable to take action,
Yes,
and they regret this for a long, long time. That regret shows in so many ways.
true.
They are in very comfortable positions, they are in high paying jobs, they are in very secure
Yes,
kind of environments, and with family and top notch education, people who care for them, everything. But just that they have this burning, sinking feeling within them
right.
that they are really not doing what they care for, or really something they are not exploring themselves to whatever extent they would like to. And
Yes,
I see this sinking feeling within them, and I just, it reminds me of the same kind of feeling which I went through.
yeah.
And the only difference is that I didn't let this stay for a long time, and I felt that I there was time to act, and I acted. So
Yes.
that is the only thing which I feel. So right now when I look back and I see that that action which I took,
Right.
even that simple step of implementation. So that is why in whatever I do right now, I've always made implementation my topmost priority, because I
Yes.
feel that until and unless we implement something,
Right.
nothing moves. So in whatever we do, even with my programs, etc., I always stress upon this aspect because this is the only thing which has worked for me actually. And it has worked only because I took some steps in that direction. So
Yes.
whether it's entrepreneurship or spiritual journey or whatever else,
Correct.
it works only when you walk it, right? It doesn't work in your mind actually. It works only when you take the step, when you walk the talk. So that's how it is, I feel.
Yes, yes, so rightly said, and I totally resonate with you. And I think you clearly mentioned it out that many people out there probably who are facing similar things, but they're not able to take that action, that one step. Um, and again, you also mentioned that be it the spiritual path or the entrepreneurial journey, it's just about taking that step, I think, which many of us, I think, we probably are like, we fear about taking that step, or it's some, of course, something it's just running on in your mind, but of course you're not able to put it out into practical situations. Yeah, I mean, I totally resonate with you, and I just truly hope that people, I think one thing is, of course, I mean, if you're on an entrepreneurial mindset and you want to explore, of course that's one thing. But if you really want to explore what life is, I think you should be able to do that, take that step and explore, because that's for yourself, and that's to get to know about yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. Right? And it is something that I think it's very inherent that we do it, because the more we know ourselves better, the better we are able to respond to things, situations. It could be relationships or anything in life. So yeah, I mean, so happy and glad that you could take that step, with all, of course, even though it was a very costly mistake, and of course your friends and families were probably figuring out, wondering what is this guy up to. But so glad and happy that you did take that step.
Yeah, and that's definitely it's definitely costed a lot, but when I look back and I see whatever the cost, it's good. It was
Yes.
something which I'm willing to go through. So that's how it is. And this is, as you were saying, that this fear of getting into unknown territory and not knowing what will happen next.
Yes.
This is something which is very common on the entrepreneurial journey or even on the spiritual path,
Right.
because you really don't know what you're stepping into, how it will turn out, what whether it will be something better than what you already have.
Yes.
So all these existential questions do come into your mind, and actually you don't have any clear cut answers.
Right.
So in spite of all of that, to still jump and
Yeah.
trust the process and think that something, if something has to work out, you have to put yourself into it completely and see how it pans out. So I feel that it's not just your effort, it also needs a certain element of grace,
Oh yeah.
which a lot of people say it is divine help, or some people say it's the grace of a guru or whatever else. There is something which feels like something is pushing you from outside, something which is supporting you from outside
Right.
and making your path simpler.
Yes.
So that's something which I feel that probably that was a lubricant which was helping to make this journey or this transition smoother. Though it was not a smooth journey, but still at least
Yes.
it was something which you could think of at least attempting to do. And there is an element of outside support as well which happens, I feel.
Oh yes, absolutely. Right. I mean, of course, again, I mean, it's just wonderful, and kudos to you for doing all of that you have done before, and now what you're doing. So moving on, so once you of course quit your job, and then you started the full-time training, the teachers training, you also went about hatha yoga teachers training. So could you tell us more about this? And yeah, and what was your experience from going through this process, of course, with the training? And what were the differences that you saw within yourself? Yeah,
So the Hatha Yoga teachers training was something which I did a few years back.
hmm,
It was in 2016.
right.
So though my journey with Isha started in 2008, as I said,
Hmm,
this training is something which I did recently.
right.
So this happened when actually I had to move back to Bangalore, and I had to. There were situations which I felt that I needed to take care at home,
Right.
and I felt that I should be in Bangalore and still continue in terms of my spiritual path
Hmm,
and do whatever I can being from here.
right.
Being in Bangalore, I still felt that I could, if I could do something where I could contribute in this particular aspect, and as well as see if I can take care of my well-being in terms of my survival and whatever else I need being in Bangalore.
Yes.
So that was when I was looking for something where I could do on a full-time basis,
Hmm,
and then the Hatha Yoga Teachers Training Program, which is offered by Isha, which is basically a program where you can take up yoga as a path or as a career, if one wants to put it
okay.
across in that way.
Hmm,
Traditionally, like how people look at a career.
yes.
So if you want, you can take it in that way, where you get certified as a teacher, and after that you can start your own studio, or you can become a freelance teacher, or
Hmm,
you can set up a business or an organization, or you can work for the foundation.
right.
So there are many models uh, which you can take part, or which you can
Explore.
adapt
Yeah.
once you do the teachers training program.
Hmm,
So again, this was something, it's not something which I had planned for or which I was looking for, because for me the most important part was just that I continue to seek,
yes.
and until and unless I reach my full potential, it doesn't end.
Yes.
So the journey still goes on. So that was the only aim, and since I was in Bangalore and I was thinking that how to utilize my time and energies in such a way that I am doing something which I really care for, and at the same time survival aspects are also taken care of. So that's when this teachers training came to my mind, and I said, okay, let me do this. And then I happened to do this teachers training program, so I went there for this full-time program, which is for about 5.5 months.
Okay.
And you go through this program, and it's a residential program.
Hmm,
So it was again a major decision for me, and this was in 2016. And again, it was like similar kind of situations, because
okay.
I was kind of settling down in Bangalore and thinking that parents were thinking that, okay, now probably he's gotten back.
Okay.
And we have things in control now, and that was a time when again it was stepping into something which I really didn't know what would happen. I didn't
Right.
even know whether I would be able to make this happen for myself, whether I would get anyone to come for my classes,
Mm,
whether I'd be able to make it like a sustainable effort for myself,
right.
because there were hardly any stories where people said that, yeah, this worked very well for them,
Okay.
or something like that. People
Right.
were saying, some of them were saying, yeah, it's okay. Some of them are saying, yeah, I'm struggling. And it's I need to do something along with this as well. I need to do a full-time job as well, because looking at setting up setting up something on your own, and that too related to yoga, it may not be a
Yeah.
very it may not be a very what do you say, interesting
Lucrative.
proposition,
Okay.
or maybe lucrative or whatever. It's not like
Yeah.
you do an MBA, or you do a software engineering
Yes.
course or something, where where you know for sure that once you finish that
Right.
you land up something
Right.
with something. So it's not like that. So again, this was like uncharted territory, and whether this will work out or not, I didn't know. But then I just saw that this is what I really care for, about yoga, because this is something which has really impacted my life. I know this is impacting many others' lives as well, and this is something which I cannot separate from myself.
Yeah.
Is this something which, even if I want to, I cannot separate from myself, because this is something which has become a part of my breath, you know.
Yeah.
So I felt that I didn't want to do anything else except something which is related to this.
Mm.
So this came like a corollary that, okay, this is something which can work, because this is something which, you can make it happen.
Right.
So I said, okay, let us try, let us do this, and we'll see how it goes. So that's how I took up the teachers training and said, okay, let me see, this is again a new territory.
Yes.
I don't know how it will work out, whether it will work out, and what will happen after this. All these
Right.
things were like a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, when I look back and I see now, that whatever was there in my mind earlier, which is about entrepreneurship, which I spoke about back in 2008,
Right.
so it kind of led to a culmination with this, actually, because
Mm.
here was my chance to actually try and
Yeah.
set up something entrepreneurial.
Right.
Try to set up something on your own, because once you finish this training, you are left on your own, right? You
Yes.
have to see how to make things happen. You have to see how to build this up from scratch.
Right.
As a yoga teacher, it's people may start a startup in different fields. Some
Yes.
may start something which is related to software, or something which is related to the food industry,
Mm.
or analytics, or whatever else. So here it was about yoga. But it was a huge difference,
Mm.
because this is not something which I was trying to get into, because I felt it was having something at the end, or it was lucrative or whatever, because obviously it was not.
Right.
And this was just because I felt that this is the only thing which I really connect with, and which I feel so deeply for, and which I really care for. And I can see this happening, that how this is transforming so many people's lives, including mine. So I didn't want to spend my energy and time in doing anything else except this. So that's how I said, okay, this is one way to spend my time and energies productively,
Right.
and this is a way to do that. So that's why I did the teachers training, not knowing where it will lead to. So
Right.
that's how I started doing the training. And
Okay.
once I came back from the training, again there was pressure on me to join again a job and do this part time.
Yeah.
They said, yeah, yeah, you continue with your job, because just before going for the training, I had actually started working full time
Mm-hmm.
as a marketeer in a startup,
All
actually.
right.
And I was doing quite well there again, though it was in a different line. Now, instead of software, I was in marketing, because I
Okay.
made transition after many years of volunteering and
Right.
being in the Isha Yoga Center for 5 years.
Yes.
I had learned different kinds of skills, and then when I came back to Bangalore, I felt that I should try uh, entering into marketing, because that's something which I really felt I was comfortable with,
Right.
because I liked something which was more dynamic, where it involved speaking to different kinds of people, interacting, hands-on stuff, seeing the results. So I felt I should
Yes.
look for something related to that. So that's why I started working uh, in a company as a marketing head.
Mm-hmm.
And I also felt that that was something, again, I took up only after I exhausted all the options with respect to yoga. Actually,
Right.
when I came back, I thought I'll start something on my own with respect to yoga. But
Yes.
that point of time, when I tried, I didn't actually come up with anything which was substantial,
Okay.
because neither did I have any certification,
Mm.
nor did I have any teachers, under me, or whatever else. So I felt that it was difficult to pull off.
Yes.
So
Yes.
then I joined this job, and I was doing this marketing, and then again I had to leave this, and because it was a 5 month training program, so I had
Right.
to leave this. And
Right.
then when I came back, there was this pressure of again going back to this industry,
Yeah.
which was very easy for me to do, because now I had exposure. I had software exposure, I had marketing
Right.
exposure, I had volunteering, developed different kinds of skills, so it was very easy for me to go back.
Yes.
But I didn't I resisted that temptation, and I said that, no, I've spent so much time and energy, so I will give myself at least 3 to 6 months where I will go all out and trying to
Right.
make this work.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I'll take a call
Yeah.
based on how it goes. So I just stuck to that, and within a few months I realized that if I just give myself completely to this, there's enough scope and there's enough, for me to grow on this aspect, and there's
Right.
I just need to focus on this and give it my 100%. So after that I didn't look back, and uh, since then, after I started Yogi Ray, when I came back from the training till now, it's just been I've just been doing this full time,
Wow.
and I've never considered looking at any other option, part time or anything else. It's just been on. Yeah.
Wow, wow, that's wonderful. Okay, before we get on to Yogi Ray and, of course, your experience with respect to the venture that you had started, I want to ask you a little bit more about the Hatha Yoga. So, of course, there are many forms of yoga here in India as well, and of course, when we look into the West, of course, they were something to do with power yoga, which started out there. Of course, the altered form of yoga and gymming and all of that. So I want to know, I mean, how is classical Hatha Yoga different, or how is it unique? Could you, share some insight into this?
See, the thing is, you must have heard of classical music, right?
Yes,
Or classical dance.
correct.
So when you say classical, it means something which is original, which is in its pure form
Mm-hmm.
or undiluted form.
Yes,
So similarly, when you say classical yoga, it's like the yoga of where it was just the way the yoga was transmitted earlier,
right.
and there is no dilution, there is no modification,
Mm,
there is no innovation on top of it.
correct.
So nowadays it has become fanciful to innovate in terms of yoga.
Yeah.
People think that by adding their own stuff to it, they are doing a great job. So now you
Right.
find different kinds of yoga. You'll find so many different. There are people who are saying that they have started some goat yoga, bear yoga, this all
Yeah.
acrobatic yoga.
Yeah.
And, they're like just trying to add something on top of yoga, and they're trying to make it cater
Right.
to what is really what people are looking for. For example, if they feel that people need something highly physical,
Yeah.
to go with it, so they'll mix that along with yoga, and they'll call it one form of yoga. Or if they feel people like dance, they'll mix dance steps along with yoga, and they'll call it another form of yoga. So if you look at all these things, these are just innovations or modifications to the original form of yoga. So if you
Right.
look at the original form of yoga, which is classical yoga, which is a series of asanas,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
etc. If you look at hatha yoga per se,
Right.
so this is so just transmitting that in its original form, in its pure form, in its undiluted form.
Okay.
That is what classical hatha yoga is about.
All
So
right.
Sadhguru was very clear when he started this that he wants to see how he can train teachers to impart yoga the way it is, the way it was originally being transmitted,
Right.
and without any distortions, without any modifications, without any frills, without
Yes.
any fanciful ideas or modifications to that. So
Right.
that is where classical hatha yoga, it's something which is basically trying to see how the original form of yoga is transmitted and it's not lost.
Okay.
So you will see that this form of yoga is very different from the kind of forms of yoga, the commercial forms of yoga which are floating around in the world nowadays.
Mm.
So there are so basically, if you really go deep into it, you will see that all these commercial forms of yoga which you find existing currently,
Right.
these are just forms which people have invented by themselves,
Mm.
because they have probably picked up something from some place,
Right.
and they have innovated.
Yeah.
Because for example, in the US, people felt that unless they sweat, they are not doing anything
Yeah.
physical. Their physical exercise is not complete.
Right.
It's not a workout if they don't sweat.
Yes.
So what they said is, okay, let's combine yoga with heat.
Mm.
So they started doing yoga in heated rooms.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you must have heard of hot yoga.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So that became like a rage and trend in the West,
Right.
because it was called as hot yoga, where they
Mm-hmm.
do yoga in high temperatures, and because of that they sweat,
Right.
and they feel okay, now they're getting both the benefits. They're removing toxins from the system, they're doing yoga as well, and now they are doing this in high temperatures.
Right.
But actually what Sadhguru was saying this, that this can cause cellular damage, and this can actually be very harmful
Mm-hmm.
for people practicing yoga in high temperatures. So the problem with innovations is that people may come up with things which are actually, which can be actually damaging in the long run. So when it comes to subjective sciences like yoga, you should always leave aside your intellect
Right.
and see that what is the form in which it was transmitted in its original form, and just do that.
Hmm.
So it feels very difficult for you not to add your own stuff to something, right? You always want to add your own stuff to something.
Yes.
So to have that intelligence to understand that whatever it is right now is the way it is,
Yeah.
and that is much more powerful if you don't add your own nonsense to it. It takes a certain level of intelligence and devotion.
Right.
So because that is missing in the world nowadays, because people always want to look at the situation, the commercial benefits.
Correct.
Oh, they feel that okay, people are anyway paying for workouts and they want to sweat. Let's add yoga to it and make it, viable, commercially viable. So they wouldn't battle even an eyelid to even do that,
Yeah.
because there's so many things like this. So which has actually led to yoga becoming more like a physical discipline. So now people think, oh, yoga, okay, instead of yoga I'm doing zumba, I'm doing acrobatics, I'm doing so many other things, or I'm just doing some other dance form. So it's
Right.
fine, anyway I'm getting the benefits. So they think that this is also another physical discipline.
Hmm.
So this is the problem which can happen when you tend to dilute something.
Right.
So the idea of offering classical Hatha Yoga is just this, that without any innovations, without any distortions, without any modifications, just offer the original form of yoga. So you will see that this is kind of very different from what is available commercially. You may not use any music, there are no props, there is no physical touching. So, like this, there are many things which are very different from what people normally offer in commercial forms of yoga, actually.
So I'm very curious to know why the name Yogi Ray, and also could you tell us the story behind putting Yogi Ray together, and what were the challenges that you came across while you were setting up Yogi Ray?
Okay. So, first of all, why the name Yogire is, it's actually, there's no big story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, when I wanted to name the organization, I wanted to keep something related to being a yogi.
Yes.
So, this is something which I always longed for, that when I heard Sadhguru mentioning in the introductory session that wherever you are, you can be in yoga, and you can be in an office, or you can be in a kitchen, or you can be in the mountains, or you can be in an ashram.
Right.
This is about how you're within yourself, and it's not about what you do on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So he was mentioning that this is something you should try to become. So ever since I heard that, I always long to come to that state where, irrespective of wherever I am or whatever situations I am put in,
Mm-hmm.
I can still have an element of being a yoga, and that is what a yogi is.
Right.
That's a yogi is someone who is living yoga,
Mm-hmm.
or who has at least an element of being a, at least an element of yoga functioning within.
Yes.
So I felt that whenever we name our organization, it should be something where this basic purpose of trying to inspire people, or trying to see if at least an element
Hmm.
of this comes into their life. So I wanted to have something related to being a yogi in the name, and I was thinking somewhere along those lines. And then there was this song also which had, an Isha song, Sounds of Isha,
Right.
which is the homegrown Isha band. They
Yes.
have a song which has, yogi in the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking like this, and initially we created an event which was like a yoga fest,
Right.
which was having different kinds of yoga programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, this name occurred to me, this Yogi Ray, and So basically, I thought that let me name that fest as Yogi Ray, and I just named that fest as Yogi Ray, which is the Hard Yoga Fest,
Okay.
and it went very well. It was one of the first kind of such a program,
Mm-hmm.
and it got a good response.
Yes.
So then this name was there, and I was just thinking, what should we name our organization? And then this name was there, and it occurred to me that should we try and keep this name for the organization? So
Yeah.
I wasn't very comfortable because it sounded okay to me, but it didn't make any. But I didn't know how people would perceive it and what they would think about it, because it was not about me. It was whether it would resonate with people. So then I thought that let me ask a few people. So I had a group of my participants, a WhatsApp group. So I just posted over there asking, that I'm thinking of naming this organization, and I thought, how would this name sound to you
Right.
if we name it as Yogi Ray? It's very simple. It's easy to remember, and it has the word yogi in it.
Yes.
And we just added Ray. Just it's like a colloquial term.
Correct.
It doesn't have any great meaning. It's just that it's like you're addressing a yogi.
Mm.
Something like that.
Yes.
Something. Uh, you know. Uh, you're just calling a yogi something
Yeah.
like Yogi Ray.
Yogi Ray.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I just thought of doing that, and I asked them, and majority of them said, yeah, it's a very nice name, and you should keep it. Some of them suggested other names, and from after going through all those suggestions, I decided that we'll stick with this name.
Yes.
I asked some creative people also who are
Mm-hmm.
into uh, you know this creative field like films and etc.
Right.
And they also said, yeah, it's a very catchy name, so it's a nice name. So I said, okay, fine.
Okay.
So that's how I decided, okay, we'll go ahead with that.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, so many people have come back and they have mentioned that it's a very nice name. It's very easy to remember,
Yes.
and so that's how it stuck.
All
so,
right.
so since then, we have been using the same name for all our programs whenever we do any program. So we started with the event name called as Yogiri, and then finally we made it the name for our organization, and
Mm.
that's how it's been running. So it's been almost 4 years now,
Wow.
and since we started using this name,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope you like it too.
Yes, yes. I mean, as you said, it's like very easy to, very like, very apt, and it's very colloquial. Yes, Yogi Ray. So yes, it's very catchy. Yes.
So that's how we started. And regarding the initial struggles or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Yes.
so basically, for me, even before we thought about a name, etc., we were actually still doing programs and we were operational.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I just thought about a name almost, I think, more than 8 9 months
Mm.
after we started. So it wasn't a big priority for me. It was just that we were doing many programs and people were saying it's good that if you form a name and offer it under one banner, so that
Right.
that registers in people's minds. So it yeah, there was no struggle in terms of in terms of what we were trying to do with Yogi Ray, in terms of programs or what we were trying to do. But yeah, there were initial challenges of trying to get people.
Mm.
So that's something which was there. There was I remember that one of the first programs which I tried out under the banner Yogi Ray was actually, before I started with this, I actually uh, taught a couple of programs with other teachers
Okay.
where I didn't have any brand name, and I just used their premises and I was teaching over there,
Mm-hmm.
and that was easy for me to get started because it's always something which you need to first focus on is your teaching. And because once you've come out of training, you'll be focusing on that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get too caught up with organizational aspects, then you may get burdened with that, and that may kind of take a lot of your time,
Yes.
because you'll think about logo, you'll think about brand name, you'll think about so many other things, you'll think about website. and other things, and the core part of it, which is imparting this to teaching this to people and making sure they have a good experience,
Right.
that's something first which you need to work on. So I spent some time, a few months, just doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to see where I don't get too involved in the organizational aspects. And when I felt that it was good enough, I was able to manage these things.
Okay.
Only then I thought of starting something under our own banner.
Right.
And so it was a very organic journey.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, as I said, the challenge was trying to get people. So one of the first programs which we held, which we tried to organize under the Yogi Ray banner, was a 21-day program.
Right.
So actually, why I planned that program was because I felt that in 21 days I can kind of experiment and teach
Mm.
everything which I have been trained for.
Yeah.
So I felt that that would be a good, you know, start for me to at least try and teach everything which I am trained for.
Mm.
So I wanted a platform where I could kind of test and see how it goes, everything which I'm trained for. And I felt that if I do a 21 days program, that will give me enough scope to offer all these programs.
Right.
So that's how I thought I'll design a 21 days program. And, I fixed up a venue which where everything was set, where I didn't need to buy any equipment. Everything
Right.
was intact. So I just rented out that place,
Mm-hmm.
and otherwise I would have to purchase all these equipment, etc.,
Yes.
and then set it up. So I said that I didn't want to spend time and investment in doing that right now because I didn't have any funds.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me start with some place where already these things are set up.
Right.
And that place was almost more than 15 kilometers away from my place.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I said, okay, let me try and do that. So I just took that place, and then I started thinking of how to get people for the program.
Right.
So I tried through my network, but then again in Bangalore, based on where you're doing the program, you might get people nearby to that.
Mm.
And the 21 days program, people may not travel from very far.
Yes.
So I was trying, and the challenge was how to get people for such a time commitment. So then we also thought of trying out some Facebook ads.
Mm.
So this was a period, initial phase when we tried out everything which I was exposed to earlier
Right.
in terms of marketing. How to get people. So I tried that as well, and it so happened that we got a lot of responses in terms of the ad.
Mm.
That a lot of people said, "Yeah, yeah, we're interested,"
Okay.
and but only thing is, if you do it in near our location,
Yeah.
or if you do it next month, or if you do it
Right.
sometime next week, not this program.
Mm-hmm.
So like this, we saw so many inquiries coming in, but not all of them were converting for this particular program.
Yes.
So finally, these were the challenges, and finally we ended up with having, I think, about three, three or four people. I think we ended up. I
All
think
right.
three.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I just thought that okay, let me go ahead with it because so much has been spent in terms of those ads, and
Yeah.
it was a learning for me that though, though we got a lot of responses, but the conversion was less.
Correct.
And I felt that okay, anyway, since I've committed, for me, whether it's 3 people or 20 people, the effort would be the same. So I said,
Yes.
anyway, I want to experiment, so let me go ahead with it. So I started with this program, and then as I was doing this program, I think midway, even I think two of them dropped out.
Oh.
See, they had some injury or something, and or
Mm.
they were not feeling well, and finally I was left with just one person.
Oh. Oh.
And I was thinking, just for this, I had to kind of travel almost 15 kilometers, and it was early morning class.
Right.
It was like 6 a.m. or something in the morning.
Yeah.
So imagine getting up so early,
I
then
know.
taking my two-wheeler and traveling, and then reaching there,
Mm.
coming back after the class, and then again going doing the same thing like this for 21 days.
Right.
So it was a It was a lot of work, but that's how it was initially. So I still said that since that one person has is also coming from such a long distance, and I have already committed, so I
Yes.
still stuck to it. I said, okay, fine, we'll complete the program. So that 21 days was a huge learning experience for me in
Right.
many ways. First of all, in terms of how to do the program, I was anyway.
Right.
The main reason why I did the program was because I wanted to get that exposure of teaching everything, whatever I'm trained for. So that was met, because
Yes.
whether it was one person or more than that, at least I could deliver it, and I could at least get feedback, and I could understand that where I need to work on. So that was
Right.
at least. But uh, the making it sustainable part didn't work.
Yes.
because,
Yes.
because traveling and the hall rent, and then the marketing expenses, etc. So I think that was one of the programs which made me realize that there's a lot to work on and optimize.
Right.
Otherwise it won't be sustainable.
Yes.
So I think I didn't even break even for that program, I think.
Mm.
Or maybe just about it happened that just about break even happened.
Right.
So then I thought that I should think about something
Mm-hmm.
where it's a more sustainable model,
Yes.
and where it's much more easier to get people. So that set me thinking, that what should I do?
Yes.
For me, it has always been so that I always try to learn from whatever mistakes which were made, or whatever setbacks have happened, and try to see how I can improvise on that, or use
Right.
that as a platform, or an opportunity to try and come up with something new.
Correct.
So then I thought about this, that what I should do, and then finally I came up with a new concept, a new structure and design,
Yes.
which is what I was talking about, right? That fest, which I called as Yogi Ray.
Yes.
So then I said that instead of me trying out a 21 days program where I have to get people's commitment for 21 days,
Right.
instead of that, what I'll do is I'll offer all the programs which I did in 21 days,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll do it in a way that people can choose whichever programs they want.
Okay.
Or if someone wants to go through all, they can still go through all.
Okay.
So I kind of made a hybrid model,
Right.
where I just tried. Plus, I tried to do this in 10 to 12 days instead of 21 days,
Mm.
so that some sessions I try to do in the morning, some in the evening,
Right.
and on weekends more sessions. So that way I was able to optimize on the hall usage.
Yes.
Because the more number of days you use, the more you have to kind of spend on the rental part, right? So when you
Correct.
are trying to do something like this, you have to look at all aspects. It's not just about teaching.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, you'll have to look at, where are your expenses, how do you optimize,
Correct.
how do you manage stuff, etc. Everything. So all these things you have to take care. Your how much you are spending on advertising or
Yes.
marketing, or awareness creation, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'll probably design a new model where I'll have lesser number of days. So it'll be more intense for me. It'll be more hectic for me. I'll have to take more sessions per day,
Yeah.
and I'll try to make it optional so that people can choose if they want to come for all these sessions. They can do that, or they can just come for one session or two sessions or three sessions,
Right.
whatever is interesting for them and whatever they need. So this way, what will happen is the number of people who enroll will increase for me, because
Right.
not everybody will be committed for 21 days, but there are many people who may just come for one program.
Correct.
Some may
Yes.
come for two programs. So that way I said, and then I thought I'll hold an introductory session in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
where I speak about all the different programs I'm offering and why this program is useful, and which program should they choose based on their health conditions.
Right.
So I kind of kept that session free,
Mm-hmm.
that can get more people for the free session. And then during the free session, I'll disseminate information about all the programs, and also guide them as to which program or programs would be suitable for them.
Right.
This was a completely new experiment, which kind of no one had actually done before, also.
Yes.
And also which I thought that I should do because of the experience of this program.
Yes.
So I tried this out and then it worked very well actually.
Okay.
So now instead of those three people, now this time in just a span of 10, 12 days, we had more than, overall, we had more than 30 people,
Oh, wow.
because some programs, which was just like for a day,
Mm.
we had some of these programs, we had even 15 people joining.
All right.
And some programs we had five, some programs we had seven, some programs we had three. So like this overall we had about 10, 12 programs, and like this it kind of balanced out.
Yes.
So hall usage also, instead of 21 days, it came down to 10, 12
Yeah.
days. Number of people increased, and still the experience, there were few who attended everything. So they had like kind of similar experience like how they had for 21 days.
Right.
So all these things were met.
Mhm.
So that was the beginning of
Yogi Ray.
yeah, that was the beginning of our endeavor to continue offering more programs. So then that model worked, and then I after that I kind of replicated that model in various places in Bangalore.
Okay.
So I did programs like this, like these yoga fests.
Right.
I did it in various parts of Bangalore,
Mhm.
in North Bangalore, South Bangalore, East, etc.
Okay.
And then I used to again rotate with the same places. So every 3 4 months, I used to come back to that place. So that was the model I started. So this is how we started moving. So I when I look back and I see, this is all about making. It's not about not making mistakes, or it's not about hitting the ground up running right from beginning. It's just that seeing where you're going, how things are progressing,
Mhm.
and if things are not going the way you want to try and make course corrections as early as possible,
Yes.
and then again give yourself a chance and see how it works. So it's like a constant experimental process. And this is something which I've kept even till now, even almost more than 4.5 years now after being
Yes.
we started this. Even now, if you've been following our work, you'll see that every now and then I come up with new programs actually.
Yes. True.
So, because what happens is, for me, it's not like this that, oh, okay, something is working and so that's it. Now I'm done. I'll just be doing that itself and I'm not doing anything else. For me,
Yes.
the endeavor has always been that see what is most needed for people and try to see if you can come up with something new which can meet that requirement. It could be something,
Yes.
which I just have to look into myself and see what is it that I'm really longing for,
Yeah.
and what is it that will make my life much more easier. What is it that will help me more in my spiritual journey. So when I just look at this and I also hear people what they are actually longing for and what they are
Correct.
looking for, and based on that I see, okay, can I come up with something new.
Mm.
And I always, if you see our programs, if you go to our website and see our programs, you will see our programs are quite unique.
Yes.
Though we may be doing the same things, but just that element of customization, that element of innovation is something which you will find, because we're always trying to do this right from the day one when we started. It
Right.
has always been like this, to see what we are doing, to learn from feedback about that program, how it happened, to ask people what was their experience and if something can be improved, and if it can be improved, let's improve that next time.
Yes.
So like this, constantly we have been innovating, and that led to formation of more programs. So we started with just this offline program, which was just day programs, and then finally, now we have a gamut of programs. We have so many.
Right.
Even in offline, we have so much variety. We have day programs, we have residential programs, we have online programs. So this innovation has been the key in terms of our DNA. We always have tried to keep up the innovation part
Right.
and learning from whatever we have done. So initially it was paid marketing, and then we saw that paid marketing is not working that great for us.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
started seeing how to grow organically.
Correct.
So currently, I would say from the last few years, I've hardly done any paid marketing. It's mainly been organic actually.
Correct.
Okay. It's just that because we realized that from the beginning that we need to work towards building our organic strength,
Yes.
our organic network. So we just focused on that. Because of the initial lessons we learned, we saw that paid marketing was putting too much pressure on finances,
Mm.
and there's always that thing hanging oh, what is the investment and what is the return on investment you
Correct.
will get. So I wanted to minimize that. Plus, you're always dependent on someone, either Facebook or whatever else. It's not that you can do without it. You still use it for building awareness, etc. But as much as
Yes.
possible, to a certain extent, you can always increase your organic reach
Right.
rather than it was like initial first few programs we were like, if we don't do any marketing we won't even get few people.
Yeah.
So we thought that okay, we'll put some money in the Facebook ads or whatever ads, and at least
Right.
because of that, 2 3 people come, the program will happen. Otherwise, that also won't happen.
Uh,
So imagine being, in this situation where every program only if you put something, and you'll get
mm,
few people, and if it happens, then the program happens. If you are in such a situation,
yes.
then it's not a very good situation to be in.
Right.
So I felt that initially, after doing all these experiments, I felt that we should try to reach a situation where when we announce a program, we need not think about whether people will come or not, whether it will happen or not,
Correct.
whether, how much we need to put into ads or this or that. So we thought that we should try to take steps towards that. So
Yes.
it's been a constant endeavor to enhance our program offerings and offer the best experience, so that right now I would say that a majority of our people who are coming for our programs are mostly through word of mouth.
Ah. Yeah.
So now when we do a program, we don't worry about, oh, whether people will come or not, or
Hmm.
we know that okay, at least if we announce a program, and at least the minimum number which we are looking for will somehow happen.
Yes.
Most of the program, if it's not a new program, if it's the tried and tested program, then it would, even if it's a new program, we would still get minimum number without breaking our head to from where we are going to get people and all the
Right.
stuff. So that's how it's been. So it's not been something which is a cakewalk,
Yeah.
but it's always something which we are constantly learning and optimizing,
Yes.
and that's continuing even now.
Yes, absolutely. I think when someone is on the entrepreneurial journey, I think every day is a learning. I think, I mean, as you mentioned clearly, that, okay, once I know how to do this, and I cannot just sit quiet, because you have to like constantly keep on learning. And of course, you also mentioned that, you have to look into what is that the people want, because you always need to understand what are the customers wanting or the clients wanting, so that you can provide something which is beneficial to them. So rightly said. I mean, so resonate with what you said. Probing just a bit further. uh,
And also, one thing
yes.
is, I've always kept this as a constant, that irrespective of what you're doing outside, the most important thing is to
Yes.
work on yourself.
Yes.
So, the moment you keep that as a priority, that you want to enhance yourself,
Right.
then naturally, whatever you're offering also gets enhanced. So, if this is something which a lot of people on the entrepreneurial journey, they
Yes.
realize that it's like something which is a discovery of the self. So you kind of use this as a medium to explore more about yourself.
True.
And the more you fine tune yourself, the more you become a better version of yourself. You will see whatever you're offering, that suddenly gets enhanced. Suddenly you get more better ideas, you get more creative, you get so many things start working once you keep this as a priority. But suppose you keep your growth as something which is incidental, or which can happen or which cannot happen, and you're just focusing on the revenue or whatever else, then after some time you will see that all your offerings slowly, the quality of what you're offering can reduce. And then you may be
Yes.
stuck thinking that okay, anyway I was stuck in my job as well, and now same
Yeah.
kind of situation is happening with this. So then there's not much difference
Correct.
whether you're doing a job or whether you're running an entrepreneurial venture or whatever else. So it should be
Yes.
a constant process where you are working to enhance yourself. Then it turns out to be like a process of constant evaluation and growth, and you're just using this like a spiritual process for yourself, trying to see how you can enhance yourself. And as you're enhancing yourself, your offering also gets enhanced, your venture also gets enhanced.
Yes, yes, superbly said. And I can relate to it because I think podcast is one means which is actually, helping me to put out things which probably is of some value to others. So, yeah, so totally, understand what you're trying to say. Just probing a bit further, I know you did speak about Yogi Rave from your perspective as a business perspective, but I want to understand, and of course, I'm sure the listeners out here would also be wanting to know, could teaching yoga be lucrative? What is your perspective on imparting yoga to thousands of people and yet trying to earn a means of living with yoga sessions? So, I mean, can this be a career choice that one can take? What do you think? What is your perspective on this?
See, the thing is, for most people, when they make a career choice, it's something which they may be weighing many concerns,
Hmm.
especially in India. I would say, for most of them, the topmost factor while choosing a career could be, what is the take home, or
Yeah,
what is it that I can make from this.
correct.
So, so basically, if you are looking at that, then this may not kind of fit the bill initially, or it may not be a very natural choice if that is your aim,
Mm,
because you can definitely do much better if you if you go the traditional route, or whatever else, or the chances may be much higher,
hmm.
if you just go stick to the traditional disciplines of whether it's engineering or MBA, or medicine, or law, or whatever else. So, if that is the criteria which you're looking for in terms of a career,
Hmm.
then how much can I make? Can I make, uh, you know, as much as possible, or whatever else?
Right.
Then that may not be a good criteria for you to look at something like this, because when it comes to yoga, it's a very subjective discipline,
Hmm.
and this cannot go with when you're teaching yoga. The first thing which you will look at is you will just see how much of how much of that is reflecting in you, right?
Yeah.
So when people are coming to you, you may think that they're coming because of the poster or the website or this or that, so they may come because of that initially.
Yes.
But if they're if if this is something which is bringing them again and again,
Mm.
it's not just that actually. So they're just trying to see how much they connect with you, how much you are actually they can see that seeking.
Mm.
You don't have to speak many words for that. If you just come across someone,
Yeah.
even if as much as you listen to them for a few minutes, you can really make out that, is this something which they really care for? Is this something which they are willing to stake their life for? Or is this something which is something which they are trying to live, and it's not something which they're just talking.
Mm.
So what happens is, you can do something like, let's say if you want to do a job,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't mean the world to you, you can still do it,
Right.
and you can still be very successful.
Mm.
You can still rise in terms of the corporate ladder. Though if you want to really do very well, then again you need to have in passion, or you need to have that zeal, or at least that commitment towards that, or devotion towards that. See,
Mm.
anybody who wants to do well, unless they're devoted to whatever they're doing, it doesn't happen.
Correct.
But that's something which I'm talking about, where you really become successful in that particular field. But otherwise, just survival you can always do, with just if you want to survive, there are many ways to do that. So when it comes to being doing something like this, when it comes to yoga,
Right.
this is something. If you're just looking to use this as a means of earning,
Mm.
it'll be something which may not be very. It's something which you will feel something is missing, because this cannot be just for that criteria. It's not like a
Yes.
job
Yeah.
where because here, if I have to speak about this, the kind of effort or investment which is required in terms of time, I'm definitely working much more than I was working in a job actually. So when at
Yes.
least I was in a job, it was just fixed hours, and I was like, free most of the time. And now I would say, last 4 years, there's not even been a single day when I have managed to finish whatever I have planned. Actually, I mean,
Yes.
whatever I have, in my list.
Correct.
There's always every day I have more things to do than what I can manage to do, and
Hmm.
constantly the only thing which I'm running out of is time, because there's so much to do. If I just have enough time, there's so much to do, and I don't really have enough time. So I have to constantly keep cutting down on things. I have to constantly see what can I manage, what I cannot manage. So in terms of effort, there's so much more to do. So if you have to do something like this and still not get stressed about it, this is something which you should be deeply concerned about. This is something which you should deeply care for. Only then you can step into this,
Okay.
right? So it is not the other way around where you think that you will get something out of it and then you step into it, and then so it's not that process. So
Correct.
generally what happens is, how most people choose a career is because it's like having, doing, and then finally being.
Ah.
For example, you want to have this much amount of wealth, or you want to have these kind of comforts,
Right.
or you want to have fame, or you want to have XYZ, whatever it is, those criteria. So you want to have something.
Right.
So you think, how can I have it? If I want to have that, I should do this.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to do engineering, or you want to do medicine, or you want to do law, or you want to do civil services,
Mm.
or whatever else, or you want to do business because you want to have that.
Yes.
And when you do it, finally you become that.
Mm.
So you become a lawyer, or you become a doctor, or you become a engineer, or you become a IAS officer, or whatever else.
Right.
So this is the process, right? So you always start with what you want to have, and then you think, how can I have that? I have to do
Do
this,
it.
and then finally, when you do that, you become that.
Yeah.
So this whole process has to reverse.
Mm.
So when we look at yoga, we always say that you should start with being,
Mm.
then doing, and then finally having is a consequence.
Right.
So basically, first you fix how do you want to be.
Yes.
Okay, I want to be joyful, I want to be peaceful, I want to do, I want to see how I can be balanced.
Yes.
Now when you work on that, if that becomes your priority, then you look at doing.
Right.
Now when it comes to doing, you always see what is something that you care for.
Yeah.
What is that something which resonates with you and which you feel is really needed to be done in the world?
Yes.
What is that thing which you feel that is really missing, and if you get involved in this, or if you contribute, it will make a big difference in the world?
Correct.
What is that something which resonates with you, or which you feel is really needed in this world? It's not just your fancy idea that you want to do something.
Yeah.
It's also what is really what the world is needing, or what the world is actually longing for.
Mm.
So it's according to the situation what is needed. So then once you realize that this is what you want to do because this is what is needed,
Right.
then finally, because you're doing that and you are in a certain way,
Yeah.
and you are fulfilling a need or a demand,
Yes.
so you finally get to have something.
Correct.
It could be, and that could depend on social conditions
Right.
and situations. So you may get to have fame, you may get to have a lot of money, you may get to have a bungalow, or you may get to have car or whatever else.
Yeah.
So that's a consequence of how people are benefiting from what you're offering,
Correct.
and what is the social situation, and how is the economic situation, etc. So that's something which happens. Now the advantage of this is that you know your inner situation is not hijacked by anything else, because you already started by fixing that as a priority.
Correct.
Now whether you get to do this, or now tomorrow you may have to do something else because the situation is different. Let's say right now this pandemic happened, and so happened that so many people,
Yeah.
they were not able to do what they were
Yeah.
doing all the time,
Correct.
and they just had to figure out some other alternative because it was not possible.
Yes.
Like, let's say all the travel companies went bust because there was no travel. People couldn't step out of their homes.
Right.
Now, if you think, no, I have to do only this, then you're stuck, right?
Yes.
So basically, doing and finally getting to have is something it can change. It can always change based on what's needed, what's the situation. But how you're within yourself, that's something which should not be subject to that.
Right.
So this is the advantage of looking at it in this particular way. To choose something, when you choose a path or when you choose a career, it's if you choose in this particular way, then this is the advantage,
Yes.
that that whatever you do, it's something which will always you'll feel like you're on the right path, or you'll feel that inner fulfillment, or you'll never feel that the career or the path which you have chosen is kind of hijacking how you are within yourself. Because it doesn't matter what career you have chosen, at the end of the day, a career is just a part of your life, isn't it?
True.
It's just something which you're doing for your own well-being.
Mm.
It is not the be all of everything, you know?
Yeah.
So if that is not helping in your well-being, then it doesn't matter what career you choose. It will make no difference actually. It's just a matter of time when you will start getting feeling the same kind of thoughts which you had earlier with your previous job. You may shift into something else, and again, it's just a matter of time when those same cycles again happen. So it's very very important that when we choose, especially when we have youngsters and we choose careers, or when we choose a path, we always keep this in mind, because this is one of the reasons why people have these midlife crises, or they have all these indecision, etc. Because if you constantly keep thinking, what should I do to have this, there are
Right.
thousands of ways, isn't it? Let's say if you want an X amount of money or whatever, there are thousands of ways to do it. You can become a businessman, you can become an engineer, you can become a doctor, you can become a pilot, you can become a lawyer. Now you will be
Right.
constantly thinking, oh, what should I do? Which is better? This is better, or this is better, or this pays well, or this pays well, or this pays well. And you'll be kind of confused, right? Because you're constantly thinking which is good, which is good, which is good. So
Yes.
instead of that, if you just look at the reverse process and see, okay, this is how I want to be. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. How I want to be is this. So in yoga, they say this is a very apt quote in yoga. It says, it was said by Krishna that first establish yourself in yoga and then act. So it means that once this happens, that you are established within yourself, how you want to be within yourself, that is established. Let's say you want to be joyful, peaceful, balanced, or whatever. Now,
Right.
whatever activity you do, you take up whatever activity which you do, it's like an expression of your
Inner
nature.
state.
It's an expression, yes,
Yes.
it's an expression of that. And everything can become a way, or a sadhana, or it's like it can become like a tool for your expansion, for your growth, because now you're established within yourself, and now you're not looking to derive something from that particular act.
Mm.
It's not like that. If this I become a teacher because I want to get something out of it, or
Right.
I become an engineer because I want to get something out of it.
Right.
What I want to get is within myself, and that is anyway there. And now I'm just doing this because right now this is what is needed and which I feel I care for. So if this separation, or if this distinction is not there, and if you choose, then doesn't matter what choice you make. Right now you may think that software is lucrative. Tomorrow you may think that analytics is lucrative. Day after you may think artificial intelligence is lucrative.
Mm.
Maybe a time comes when you feel yoga is lucrative, but it won't make much difference in how you feel.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Because what is lucrative, it can change based on market situations, right?
True.
Because right now there's a lot of demand for this,
True.
for engineers. So you may think this is lucrative,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter which era you are in or which time you are in. If decisions are made based on that, it won't work for you internally.
Yes.
So I learned this the hard way because I've been in various fields and careers. I would say started off with software, and then
Right.
I ventured into knows something. It was like there's no career at all. It's like I just volunteer and trying to do whatever is needed there.
Right.
I did, kitchen work or cleaning or database entry or IT or marketing or on the ground support, coordination, music, accounts. I can tell you hundreds of things. I just did whatever I was thrown into, and
Right.
that's where I learned that how I do something is more important than what I do.
Yes.
So once that was there, then it's like as I said, when I came back to Bangalore, it happened that I was thinking, what should I do so that I can spend my time and my life doing something which I really feel is important. Because I felt that
Right.
this is most important that people know how to live well.
Oh, yes.
Because if they get everything else and if they don't know how to live well, it's of no use.
Yeah.
So I should invest my time in that because I feel this is the most important thing which I learned.
Correct.
So I wanted to invest my time and energies. I could have invested my time and energies in a job. I could invest in my time and energies in a business.
Hmm.
If I was just looking to make money, I could have invested my time in any of these things and they might have worked out much better.
Right. Right.
But I was thinking that I want to invest my time and energies in something which I feel is really needed for the world and which I feel is most important.
Yes.
So that's when I thought, what should I do? And then I felt that, I should do the training and then take this up.
Right.
So now when I come from this particular perspective, and I'm just seeing how I should offer myself and make this happen,
Right.
then it's a very different thing. Now, whether it works financially or not, or even however it works, but the way how I
Hmm.
would be very different
Yes.
because now the way I'm approaching it, the way I've looking at it, the way I've entered into this, or the way why I've pursued this is coming from a very different thought process and from a
Correct.
process where it's more internally driven.
Yes.
So now I didn't. So when I started, I never thought about whether I will even be able to make my ends meet. I always thought that okay, as long as I'm not dependent on somebody else,
Right.
if I can be independent and make it happen,
Hmm.
that I don't need to be dependent on anyone. At least for myself, what I need to survive, I can manage. Then at least that's a good start
Yeah.
because I didn't want to be dependent. At least whatever I need for myself, that much I should be able to figure out.
Right.
And that within a few months itself, I was able to figure out, how to manage that. That wasn't difficult for me because, as I said, it was always a question of learning from whatever I'm doing and seeing, okay, if this didn't work, why it didn't work, how I can make it work.
Correct.
So I was constantly looking at this, and then within a few months, I was able to make it work, where the net flow was positive for me, and then it was started growing in that direction, and it was just a matter of time for me before I could make it work and make it financially viable as well for me. So much so that I didn't have to think, oh, should I do this or should I not do this? Will I really be
Right.
able to sustain from this or not? So now after that, then it's a question of numbers.
Yeah.
What is enough for you and what is enough for someone else.
Correct.
For someone, this may be good. Someone, this may be less. But those things are secondary. It always depends on how capable you are. For
Right.
example, you may have done engineering from a top college, but let's say you start your own company.
Hmm.
Now, how many of these companies, may become a Google or a Microsoft?
Right.
They may, it's not just about your degree. It's not just about your you know the your certificate or whatever else. Actually, that doesn't have any it doesn't make any difference actually. What really makes a difference is how capable you are, how enthusiastic you are, how committed you are to whatever you're doing, and based on that, and also
Right.
what problem are you trying to solve.
Yes.
So based on that, you may find success in the world, right? So it's always depends on one's capability. So what they make out of it, it always depends on someone's capability, and nobody can fix it and say, "Oh, okay, now if you have done engineering, you will set up a Google or you will set up a Microsoft, right?" If
Correct.
you look at a job, you can always predict and say, "Yeah, okay, on an average scale, you may get this much."
Yeah.
Because you have graduated from, let's say, IIT, or you have graduated from NIT or whatever. So this is the average what people make. So you may also get that much. So that you can predict for something which is like that. But suppose you want to set up something on your own,
Right.
you can never predict that, right? Nobody can say that, okay, if you set up a company today, this is what you're going to make.
Yes.
Because when you're setting something on your own, there is sky is the limit, and you can zero is the lower limit. You
Yes.
can not even zero, you can even go minus. Actually, people go
Yeah.
bankrupt.
True.
They are like you have these bankruptcy protection laws, right? Because a lot of companies go in the negative.
Yes.
They have
Yes.
borrowed so much that they can't even return that. So
Yeah.
both these things are possible when you are in entrepreneurial journey, because
True.
there is no upper limit, there is no bottom limit. So it's all up to you what you make out of it. So nobody can predict and say, oh, okay, if this person did this, so you also can do this, or this
Yeah.
is something. Because it all depends on the individual,
Correct.
how the person is driven, what is his capability, and also where he is placed, and what is the situation outside. And for example, right now there's a demand for yoga, so you may do well.
Yes.
But let's say a few years earlier, there were not many takers for yoga.
Right.
So maybe if you had set up an enterprise, it wouldn't have done so well because there were not so many takers,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Or for example, in the West right now, it's become very commercialized.
Correct.
So a lot of people are thinking of yoga as a career
Huh.
because they want to make this happen,
Yes.
as a way of earning. But let's say if that changes, then it may not happen. So it also depends on the outside situations, what's needed. So all these factors are there. So it can. So if I have to answer your question, yes, it can be. It can be financially very viable as well,
Right.
because so many factors are involved. But that's not the criteria for you to choose that as a career, because it's
Yes.
not one of those fields where you can look at that and then decide that I want to venture.
True.
That you may be disappointed then.
Yes.
But if you're there for the right reasons, and then you work towards it, and then if you are in situations where whatever you're doing is really what is needed, then there is no limit. You can always see what is how to grow, and in whichever way possible you can always grow. So that's how I feel it is.
Okay.
So it is definitely possible
Right.
for someone to make it work,
Mhm.
but only if they are looking at it from the right perspective, and not just because oh, someone did this, so that's why I'm also doing this, I also entered
Yes.
this. But it's like, say, it's like trying to follow in someone's footsteps
Correct.
without you having that same aspiration, or going through the same process. So that won't work when it's especially when when it comes to doing something like this.
Yes.
You always have to make your own journey and see what are the reasons which you are looking for, what is your requirement, what is it that you are longing for.
Right.
And most important thing is not about making a career, it's about making your life
True.
worthwhile, right?
True.
So whatever that is, this is just a small part of it. It is a big part right now because you're spending more than half of your life doing that.
Yes.
So that's why it's important. But otherwise, it's something which is you're taken up for your own well-being itself. So
Yes.
so that's something, that is the thing which needs to be kept in mind. So whatever works for your well-being, it's good.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no currency which will help.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I mean, that was such some valuable insights, which I think all of us should, look into. And I really, really loved the concept. I mean, of course, Sadhguru has also mentioned it. I think, the bottom line being, doing, and then having. I think that is something which all of us need to, time and again look into, because even people who are into yoga and who are on the spiritual path, we might forget now and then, but then it's always a reminder. Yes. And of course, for people who are wanting to get into yoga or who are wanting to become yoga teachers, I think this is something that they really need to like look into themselves first and figure out why is it that they want to take up this as a career choice. I think, yeah, it was so beautifully put by you in all aspects. So thank you for those pointers.